Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson. Man, it feels so good to win. It does. And we won. We won 3. We won the spring game just because of the fact we got out of there without any major injuries. It's always a big thing. We're going to talk a lot about baseball and about spring football today. We're going to do some basketball stuff on Wednesday. But the big news, Keyshawn Murphy withdrew his name from the NCAA transfer portal. We're able to break that news over at genespage.com. It's always nice to be able to get that for you, but it's good news. I mean, no matter who breaks it, it's good news. That was probably when the portal entrance began, when Keyshawn Murphy went in, you're like, that's really a loss. You know, he was really kind of coming into his own later in the year. And so, here we go. But the bottom line is this. Chris Jans entertained some visitors over the weekend. Matter of fact, saw him on the golf cart with some visitors in tow, rolling around campus. Super Bulldog weekend's a great time for us to kind of get people together. And as one astute listener pointed out to me, it wasn't officially Super Bulldog weekend until the mid-'80s, even though we still did it. We just never really kind of put a name around it and really got serious about it and made it a destination type event. And for those of you that came and tried to brave the weather on Saturday for baseball, my cap is tipped in your direction. A lot of people came for Saturday, couldn't be there for Sunday. I had multiple people hit me up trying to give away tickets. And just so you know, I was able to go down there along the chair rail and find some folks that had standing room only tickets and were able to get them in the grandstand so they could sit and enjoy the game. Always happy to do that when we can, right? There's nothing like doing something nice for somebody else, not expecting anything in return. Just seeing the smile on their faces and say, hey, got some friends that couldn't make it today. I'd like to gift these tickets to you. I know you're standing or you're sitting on the berm. I'd like to be able to give you the opportunity to go sit in the grandstand for free. And so you never know. You may see some, some dreadlock tattoo freak of nature, wearing a pork pie hat, walk up and offer you free tickets someday. You never know. You never know. But, I encourage anybody, when you can't make a game, let's get those tickets into the hands of Bulldog fans that can use those tickets. And sometimes they're already here. You got a lot of people that are SRO people that would love to be able to sit in the grandstand. And so let's work together, right? Look out for your fellow Bulldogs. Sometimes people say, I can't make it. Just something like, I'll just eat the tickets. I prefer you eat them than sell them on, whatever, StubHub or whatever, and they fall into the hands of enemy fans. And you hate to say it that way, but my attitude about this is not going to be changed. I'm just going to say it for what it is. I know there's some people that feel like, hey, I own this. These are my tickets, and I guess in some respects that's true, but you don't own the experience, and you don't own the experience of other people around you. And there are a lot of Bulldog fans out there that would love to be able to have your tickets when you decide, to get rid of them. So let's work together. Let's do and make that happen. Good top 10 list today. I say a good top 10 list. I changed my mind. We're not going to do Dickie Betts. We've done Allman Brothers before. I know some of you are disappointed, but maybe we'll do it some other time. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if you want to call it that, released their list of inductees. So we're going to kind of structure our list around that. I think the whole thing is a farce. And so here's my take about this, and I'm sure we'll expand on this a little bit later. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you should play rock music. I don't think that's a difficult thing to ask. If we want to induct people into the American Music Hall of Fame, cool. You want to induct them into the Country Music Hall of Fame, cool. I don't see anybody advocating for Motley Crue to be in the Country Music Hall of Fame. You say, but Steve, that's ridiculous. They don't play country. That is exactly my point. Exactly my point. It's like we have become so incredibly ridiculous with this stuff. It's like if I said, okay, we're going to have, I'm going to go out and raise some money. I'm going to work in conjunction with the university, and we're going to put together a Mississippi State baseball museum. We're going to take the Ron Polk Ring of Honor people. We're going to have some exhibits there. We're going to do some other guys that maybe didn't make it. We're going to do something great. And then all of a sudden, we decided just out of the blue to put Archie Manning in there. Well, he played baseball, but he wasn't a Mississippi State guy. It's absurd, man. It is. It's absurd. I got no beef with anybody that creates music out there that people enjoy. And even if people don't enjoy it, even if you're the only person that enjoys it, that is absolutely cool. And it's too far gone now. You can't fix it. But it's like, my gosh, man, it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it's like, oh, well, we want to have the most diverse music in here possible. Really? Then why call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Call it the American Music Hall of Fame. Call it anything but rock and roll. But we're gonna go over this, and I got some things to say about some of the inductees too, and some of you may not like it. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. But some of the these people don't nominate themselves. They get voted in by some committee out there that clearly doesn't know what they're doing. But we're gonna get into it today. We're gonna get into it today, and I may hurt some feelings. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. They're not in the business of hurting feelings. They're in the business of making people feel good about life. And you need food to sustain your life and your existence. But you eat for more than just sustenance, right? You eat for enjoyment. And so you find your own favorites. You say, you know what, I'm really feeling hungry today, and I'm going to go somewhere that I know will deliver a quality meal at a quality price with an amazing atmosphere. They're going to give me exemplary service. Okay, well, I'm going to Bulldog Burger Company. I'm just going to kind of lay it out for you. That's the best option. A lot of great places to eat around here, but Bulldog Burger Company always seems to call me home. I love to go in there and have those spring rolls. It's part of my beauty regimen. It should be yours as well. They will make you and everybody around you better looking. And some days I go in there and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to have those Sloppy Joe sliders with onion rings. It's true. Other days I get that great restaurant quality hamburger. Some days I just feel like eating fresh, right? So I go get that BLT salad. I like it grilled. You may like it fried. I'm not judging. You may like it with honey mustard. I'm from South Mississippi. It's a requirement. We have ranch dressing. But nevertheless, I know when I go in there and put my feet under their table, I'm going to leave satisfied. Not only with the quality of the meal and the service, but I'm going to walk out there feeling better about myself because I didn't have to go just spend a fortune to eat a nice quality meal. And if you're a young lady like the lovely bride is, sometimes Bulldog Burger Company for supper turns into Bulldog Burger Company for lunch because the portions are so substantial. You get what you pay for when you go to Bulldog Burger Company. 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowood area. Be sure and go by and have that chocolate shake to go too. Ride that ride home with a smile, partner. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet, M-E-A-T. All right, we'll start with baseball because I want to talk about, number one, the first thing that I want to say about this, baseball is in season. We're in the middle of SEC play. So we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we had the spring game too, which is a practice. Some big things happened during that. We're going to give it its just due, but we're going to do that later in the show. So let's start with the Friday game as the Bulldogs take on Auburn. And guys, what can we say about Cal Stephen that hadn't already been said? Cal Stephen was outstanding. And I remember in that Georgia Southern game, we thought, you know what? I don't know if this guy's going to get it done. We said, well, he had the great outing against Air Force. We didn't win that ball game. Not his fault. And then he goes out and, gets shelled by Georgia Southern. Then he bounces back, and he's pretty good. A couple weekends there. We get Mount St. Mary's. We get Evansville. And then we play LSU, and he gets rocked again. You're like, man, I don't know about this. Well, now you look up now, and he's 6-2. And has strung together several quality outings. Probably deserves to have a better record than 6-2. But what an outstanding effort from him on Friday. Let's kind of break it all down here. One of the most important things in this ballgame, and we talked about this on the Friday preview, was we could not let Weiss get out there and just kind of run rampant on the bases. Guys leading the SEC in stolen bases for a reason. We did a great job kind of not letting him impact the game. Absolutely incredible. So Weiss flies out to center here. Then Irish lines out to right. He barreled that one up pretty good, just didn't get enough loft on it. And so it's a line out to right there. Then McMurray grounds out to second base. Now what's interesting, and maybe you've done the math, because I know our Bulldog fans are very, very astute followers of the game of college baseball. Ike Irish and Cooper McMurray are the best two hitters at Auburn. Now, I don't want to give away the punchline here, but their best two hitters went 1-18 on the weekend. McMurray got a couple of walks. Yeah, 1-18. Guys, when you go out there and you take on a lineup that's kind of limited already, it doesn't have much length to it, and you take away the two key components of that lineup, you're going to win the series. You are. And Ike Irish, that guy's a pro hitter, man. That guy's, and Cooper McMurray's having a great year for Auburn. They were absolute non-factors against Mississippi State. All right, bottom of one, Larry strikes out looking. Mershon gets the bunt down. You love that. And then just kind of a wild play here. DJ hits it on the nose, but right at the third baseman. Mershon's got to see that through, but he's thinking third off the crack of the bat. He gets doubled off at first. So kind of a bad situation there. Really it is. But they face the minimum, despite the fact that we have a base hit. We hit one on the screws, but that's baseball. All right, top of second. Designated hitter Miller singles to left and takes second on a wild pitch. You'd think, okay, we're going to give up a run here. They got a runner at second with nobody out. We get a fly out to center from Stanfield, who did nothing do. And then Miller tags and takes third. And so you think, guys, when the runner is at third with less than two outs, all of the pressure is on the defense. Because there's so many ways he can score. A wild pitch, base hit, RBI sac fly. There's just a lot that can happen. You can balk him home. So when you get that runner to third with less than two outs, you almost always assume he's going to score. Now, you got to make a play here. And we'll get a little bit later in our recap here, and we'll find out that's not always the case. But you got to get a non-productive out for out two. And we do. We get Blue to strike out swinging. And I thought this was a very significant at-bat in the ballgame because of the fact you're going to give up an early run, or so you think. And Cal's like, nah, you're not getting anything. You're going to like it. So you get Blue to strike out swinging, and then Guevara pops up to the shortstop. And as that ball left the bat, the crowd really cheered because you're like, hey, you understood the significance of that. All right, bottom of second, Hunter Hines pops up to first. Got to get him going. He did have a couple big hits for us, though. Hizack then lines out to right, and then Bryce Chance doubles to center field here. So you got a runner in scoring position with Logan Kohler up, who had a good weekend. Didn't come through with this at bat, but Logan Kohler, one of his better weekends as a Bulldog, without a doubt. He grounds out to second base. So we strand the runner there. Top of third, still no score. And Auburn finally gets on the board here. And we kind of gift this to them. You get a line out from Derek Fabian. And all due respect to Derek Fabian, I'm not going to be disrespectful to this kid. He is not Judd Fabian. He's not. And when he went into the portal, some of you, I won't say many of you, but some of you were hypercritical of your staff for not taking this guy. He ends up at Auburn, kind of been a utility guy for them, hitting about 220. Again, a non-factor on the weekend. But he lines out to second. Strickland then singles up the middle, and it's then Weiss. There's a reason the guy's hitting lineup. He doubles to left. And so now all of a sudden you got runners at second and third with one out. We get the non-productive out, though, right? We get Irish to pop up to third base. And you're thinking, okay, we just got to play ball here, right? Instead, we intensely walk McMurray, which makes good sense. Let's go attack Miller. And what do? It's a wild pitch. They score it a pass ball. I disagree with the scoring. But here it is. And then, of course, Miller strikes out swinging. Of course he does. That's how baseball works. It's like it's a reminder, hey, if you just play ball here, if you don't give them anything, they're not going to have anything. But we gift them this run. Now, give them credit for the couple of base hits here. But here, again, it's a self-inflicted wound that allows the run to score. Bottom of third, State doesn't pout about it for long. Ethan Pulliam opens up with a single up the middle. And then Johnny Long is hit by the pitch. Now, we got runners at first and second. Bunting opportunity all the way. Amani gets the bunt down, runners at second, third, one down. And then Mershon does a job here. You'd love the base hit here, but at the very least, you got to get the run home. And it is a fly out to center field. Pulliam tags and scores to tie the game 1-1. And then they walk Jordan. And then we need Hunter Hines to come through with a big base hit here. He gets ahead 1-0, but then rolls one over and grounds out to second. And give them credit. With a lot of ground balls in this ball game. All right, top of four. Cal starts to find it here. Stanfield strikes out swinging, Ballou strikes out looking, and then Guevara strikes out swinging. Man, you love that. Striking out the side. Not much in the way of pitch efficiency, but my goodness. All right, bottom of 4, State's at the dish again. Hyzak flies out to left, hit the ball pretty well, just missed it a little bit, and then Bryce Chance homers to left center. Bryce is another guy that's been born again hard, man. When he left the lineup and Aaron Downs took over, I began to wonder if we were going to see Bryce Chance again. Bryce Chance, one of our best hitters. Kohler then singles to center field. And then Pulliam flies out to right, Long flies out to center. So we've taken the lead here 2-1. Could have been a bigger inning. It wasn't. Meanwhile, Cal Stevens just posting zeros. Fabian flies out to center. Strickland strikes out looking, and then Weiss grounds out to the shortstop. Very efficient inning there. Strickland's the only guy that gets into an elongated count, and then that still goes just 5 pitches. Bottom of 5. This is where State begins to kind of take advantage of some things here. And this, again, is about David Mershon. Amani flies out at center field, and then Mershon walks, and then still second. Well, then they walk DJ on 4 pitches. So now you got runners at first and second, again, for Hines here, and he strikes out looking. And I thought it was a good call, too. I know a lot of people didn't like I thought it was a good call. He just got fooled there. It's just part of the game. Well, then all of a sudden, in the middle of all this, Mershon breaks for third. And they throw it in the left. And then Ballou comes up and tries to cut it off the left fielder. He slips and falls. The ball goes all the way to the corner. And DJ comes all the way around to score from first. Now it's a 4-1 ball game, and you start thinking, maybe we're going to be okay. Got a little separation here. We're going to be okay. Hyzak then singles through the left side, and then he gets, it's just base running blunder. And we've had too many of these. And it's easy for me to say, well, it's just being too aggressive. Sometimes you just got to be smart. Discretion is the better part of valor. The catcher picks him off. And it's like, can we just let him hit here? Right? I mean, we've already put on 2. The pressure's on them. Base hit's going to score you here. Just let Bryce get up here and swing. Had a little bit of a brain fart. And I love Connor Hyzak, but that's 2 of those. It happened against Ole Miss and happened here too. I mean, not the same play, but you understand you got to kind of maintain some focus here. All right, top of 6. Irish with his long hit of the weekend. It's an infield single. We actually challenged the call here, but the replay that we saw on press row shows that he was safe, and it really wasn't a difficult review. So they say the call stands. It probably just should have been confirmed. We challenged the play. It didn't work out. McMurray flies out to left. Miller strikes out looking. Stanfield strikes out swinging, and he missed that breaking ball by about 2 feet. Bottom of 6. Bryce Chance pops up to the second baseman. Kohler is then hit by the pitch. Pulliam walks, and all of a sudden you got something brewing here. Well, then they walk Johnny Long, and they pull McBride and bring in Carlson. And so bases are loaded here, and you're thinking, we just got to do a job here. We just got to do a job. Well, we get a ground ball deep in the hole. It's short, and it's ruled the fielder's choice. And it's kind of how life works in baseball. But nevertheless, the run scores here. But a good thing for Amani to put the ball in play. Let's get the run home. So an efficient at bat there, though it doesn't help the batting average. And then Mershon strikes out swinging. But it's a 5-1 ball game now headed to the 7th. And this is the only inning where Cal Stevens actually had any trepidation. This is the only inning where things just kind of felt like, hey, we got to make some big pitches here. Because outside of that little situation there earlier where they had the runner at third and less than 2 outs, they've never really challenged. Our top of 7, Ballou singles to the right side. And this is the crazy situation here. The ball is fouled back, and it hits the umpire squarely in the head. It was a very scary moment for a little bit. They're able to get him out of there. Run the rest of the week, the rest of the ball game with a 3-man crew. They bring in Zach Neff to replace him. I'm sure he's in some kind of concussion protocol, but it's a little scary. People forget baseball can be a dangerous game. We end up walking Guevara, so now all of a sudden it's first and second, nobody out. And then we get Derek Fabian to strike out swinging. Strickland then singles to right field to load the bases. Bases loaded with just 1 out. You're thinking, you know what? They're probably going to get something here. We just got to find a way to mitigate the damage. And then Cal Stevens like, boys, I got you. With the top of the order up, Stevens strikes out Weiss and then strikes out Irish. And that elongated a bat against Irish. Absolutely filthy slider to end it. And you felt like then that was Auburn's best chance to climb back into it. Bottom of 7. Again, State leading now 5-1. We tack on here in the bottom. Jordan opens the inning with a double to right center. And then Hines walks. And then Hyzak doubles down the line in left. And everybody scores. Now it's a 7-1 ball game. Chance grounds out to short, pushes Hyzak to third. Kohler then doubles down the right field line. Again, a good weekend for Logan Kohler. Hyzak scores to make it 8-1. Pulliam then singles through the left side again. Kohler takes third. And then we get an ending double play as Long grounds into the 5-4-3. But again, productive inning for State. Could have been much bigger. But anytime that you put up 3 in the 7th, you typically feel pretty good about where things stand. Our top of the 8th, we bring in Tyler Davis in place of Cal Steven. He gets an absolutely blistering inning here. McMurray, Miller, and Stanfield all strike out swinging. And I tell you what, that breaking stuff was absolutely filthy. All right, bottom of 8, State a chance here again to kind of tack on with the lead here. But Larry pops up to third. Mershon then walks. And Jordan reaches on the fielder's choice. And I was shocked they called him out at first. And, of course, they review it, and we challenge it, and they overturn it. But I don't know how they missed it in live action. It was not close. Then Hines walks again. People will be careful with him. And Hyzak strikes out swinging. One of the only times Connor Hyzak didn't come through with the runner in scoring position for us all weekend. Our top of 9, Bulldogs leading now 8-1. Ballou flies out to center. Guevara grounds out to third. And so here we are. 2 outs. Let's get ready to get out of here. And then Wright singles down the line in right. And then Strickland follows with a single to right center. All this off Tyler Davis, but he gets Weiss to strike out swinging. So a little bit of anxiety there. I mean, with a 7-run lead, you didn't sweat it too much. But I would love to finish that game a little bit cleaner. You know what I'm saying? That's just, you'd like to be able to get that. But looking back at your Bulldog hitting heroes, Connor Hyzak was 2 for 5 with 2 RBI. Bryce Chance 2 for 4 with an RBI. Logan Kohler 2 for 3. Ethan Pulliam, the freshman, 2 for 3. Just his second start in a Mississippi State uniform. And Cal Stevens' line that day flew outstanding. 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. That's going to win more times than not on Friday night. Tyler Davis goes 2 innings, allows 2 hits, 4 punch-outs in the ballgame. So State wins the first game, and then we get into Saturday, and we get the rain out. And disappointing. I mean, we left there Friday night being told we expect to get it in. Lamonis said, as he left post-game, he goes, they got a schedule for 5. We're going to try to find a window. I think he knew something that we didn't. I think. Now, of course, we get to the ballpark on Friday, and people are like, we expect to get it in. Well, we did not get it in, on Saturday. So we're going to play 2 7s on Sunday. And that's exactly what happened. And so let's break it down for you here. We jump right into this thing. Durangelo Sanji back on the mound. And how good has he been for Mississippi State? Pretty crazy here. So they're trying to get Weiss going. He tries to get a bunt down. He pops it up right to Durangelo. Irishman flies out. McMurray is walked. And then Ballou singles to right center. And we throw into third, which allowed the runner to take second. Like, you got to go to second there. You're not going to throw that guy out. It's not going to happen. And so we gift him to base. However, it doesn't cost us because we get Stanfield to fly out to left. Pretty quality at bat there for Stanfield, too. He gets down in that count 0-2 and works it and works it and works it and works it. And then he hits the ball pretty well to left field, but they don't have anything to show for it. Bottom of first, the mighty Larry grounds out to third. Mershon then grounds out to second. DJ comes through with a single on an 0-2 count. Then Hines grounds out to first. And it seemed like for a while there, they were just kind of getting under barrels and were beating the ball on the ground. So you kind of had a feeling, unless some things changed, it was going to be a low-scoring ball game. Top of second. Strickland is hit by the pitch. Freeman then flies out to center. Fabian strikes out swinging. Hernandez flies out to left center. And really nothing going here, but they're making some contact. They're beginning to elevate some balls. And what concerned me the most is it through 2 innings, Durangelo had thrown 43 pitches. And you start thinking here, man, you really would like him to go as long as he can today and maybe get to the 5th or 6th, possibly to 7th. and you've already thrown 43 pitches the first 2 innings. Well, he settles down. The next 2 innings only has 20 combined, so he gets back on schedule there. Bottom of second, Hyzak, a rally starter again, or tries to be, singles to the left side, and we end up getting thrown behind here. Pretty crazy stuff here. So Hyzak is on, it's kind of convoluted to the notes here. So Chance singles to the left side, and then Hyzak, they throw behind him at second. And he had lingered off a little bit too far. And they nearly got him. Auburn challenges at the call stands. The review that we saw in the booth, there was just nothing to, we're going to provide you any evidence to overturn it. Logan Collard then grounds out here, gets the sack bunt down for you, and you move the runners along. And in a close ball game like this, that's the baseball play. But you have to think about what you're sacrificing into, right? Because now you got the freshman coming up, and while he was really good last week, you're asking an awful lot of him. And Pulliam strikes out, and then Long grounds out. And so you almost wish you start thinking now, in these situations, maybe you just got to let Kohler hit. You know, not just to protect the freshman, but because of the fact, too, he'd been swinging the bat pretty well here. I know it's the baseball play, but early on, you know, you'd like to be able to tack on some runs. And it'd be one thing if it's Amani sacrificing for Dave, and that's not a criticism of Ethan Pulliam. He's going to be a great player for us. And you don't want to dumb the game down either. That's important to understand. I know you have to recognize the personnel that's in the ball game, but you don't want to dumb the game down. You got to expect people to elevate themselves to play at your standard. All right, top of three. Weiss grounds out to third. Irish then out at first on the 3-1 put out. McMurray strikes out looking. Bottom of third. Larry grounds out to the third baseman. You get up in a 3-0 count, ends a full count, ground out to third. Mershon then singles back up the middle. Jordan strikes out swinging, and Hines again taps over the first. Need the top half of this order to kind of pick it up a little bit. Top four. Gerangelo cruising now. Ballou grounds out to the pitcher. Stanfield flies out to left. Strickland then strikes out looking. Very efficient inning. Again, starting to get back on track here. Bottom of four. Again, rally starter. Connor Hyzak singles to left field. Chanson flies to left, and then Kohler walks on 4 pitches. Pulliam then singles to the left side. Allows Hyzak to score. Kohler stops at second. So good job by the freshman to get the first run on the board. Makes it a 1-0 ball game. They bring in John Armstrong, excuse me. He was outstanding. I thought he was the best pitcher Auburn trotted out there all weekend. He gets Johnny to strike out on 3 pitches. Then Amani singles to the left side. They throw the ball away here, so it's a single and an error. Like, he's going to beat it out, and your instinct is to throw it. Well, they do. They throw the ball away, so the run comes in to score. Then Mershon walks, so the heat is on here. As Glenn Fry saying, it's a 2-0 ball game, but, man, a hit from DJ here really gives us some separation. And we strike out looking there. And, again, kind of a tough weekend. Top of 5, right after you push your lead back out to 2-0. Caleb Freeman on a 2-0 count gets a 2-0 fastball from Sanji and homers to right field. His first hit of the year. He had only had 6 at-bats coming into the ballgame. Fabian grounds to short. Hernandez grounds to short. And then Weiss strikes out swinging. And we almost take for granted how good Dave Mershon is. Like, anything now hit to the left side between he and Logan Kohler, we expect it to be an out, especially when it's going to Mershon. It's crazy. Remember last year you had to hold your breath? You don't have to anymore. Bottom of 5. Hines singles to the left side here. And then Hyzak, fielder's choice, they force the runner at second. And then Chance comes through with the hit. And so it's the thing about this at bat here with Chance, while it didn't net us any runs, you've got Armstrong up there, a guy that's breaking down sidearm, and so everything's breaking away, and he has a very, very, very good slider. And so your instinct is to go up there and look away. Now, when you're one of these guys, it's a dead pull hitter, it's a tough assignment. But Bryce Chance takes a very professional approach here, and he pushes that ball to the right side. Now, all of a sudden, you got 2 men on with less than 2 outs. Unfortunately, we couldn't do anything with it. Kohler flies out to left, and then Pulliam grounds out to second base. And I will say this about Pulliam. Even in his at-bats, where he doesn't drive in a run or pass the bat to somebody else, he's putting the ball in play. Kid's only going to get bigger and stronger. All right, top of 6, Irish pops up to first. McMurray strikes out swinging. Ballou walks, and 2 out walks are of the devil. But this one doesn't come back to burn us. Ballou goes to second on a pass ball, and then Stanfield fouls out to Hines. A little soft liner there. All right, bottom of 6, State picks up a big insurance run here. Long grounds out to third. Larry then strikes out swinging. Mershawn walks. All this is happening here with 2 outs. Jordan singles to second base. This ball was an absolute rocket. It just got caught in the webbing. He made a great play just to get in front of it, but he couldn't get it out of his glove. So now there's runners at first and second. And then Hunter Hines comes through. Big clutch at bat here late in the ball game. Singles through the right side and allows the run to score, make it 3-1. Hyzak then reaches on the fielder's choice as they force Hines out at second. All right, top of 7. A lot going on here because they I got some things to say about this too. But anyway, so Chester goes in for Pulliam. And Strickland grounds out the short, and then Freeman pops up. So it's 2 outs. It's 3-1. And listen, I get it. But when the other team is starting to put pinch hitters in the ball game, it's not the time to tighten up the zone. It's not. I'm just going to say it for what it is. And some would say, Steve, a strike is a strike and a ball is a ball. I agree with that. But that plate has corners on it. And I thought the zone got really, really tight here late. And we had to throw some unnecessary pitches and have some unnecessary drama. But we're able to navigate through it. But Hall ends up walking here. And I'm just going to kind of say it for what it is. I thought there were a couple of very questionable and favorable calls here in favor of the Auburn hitter. No disrespect to him. But it's a full – just get the ball game over, guys. Okay, and so then they pinch hit Bobby Pierce, who used to be a starter for Auburn. I don't know what's happened to him. And he pinch run. Then Wright singles to center field. And it's like all of a sudden the tying runs are on base, and we got to deal with the top of the order. And so they bring in Schulke in place of Durangelo. And then he gives up a single to Weiss. And so you don't want Cam throwing to the left-hander. So you bring in Tyson Harden, who on a 1-1 count gets a fly out to right field. And that ends the ball game, 3-1. But I felt a lot of this drama in the 7th was completely unnecessary because I thought that Sanji had Hall struck out, and we didn't get a call there. Again, it's 2 outs, 2 strikes on a pinch hitter. Get the ball game over. Get the ball game over. So State wins, and Tanner Ballman takes a loss. He's got it. Hadn't started a ton for them, but the guy that has kind of stepped up, man, because they expected Gonzalez and Alsop to be outstanding this year. They just simply haven't been. Not a lot of offensive highlights to report here, but looking back at your Bulldog box score, Dakota Jordan 2 for 4, Hunter Hines 2 for 4. That's kind of a quiet 2 for 4 for both of those guys, right? Connor Hyzak 2 for 4. And Bryce Chance 2 for 3. So 11 hits in the ball game, and you look up and say, man, we just got 3 runs. It's exactly right, because in 1, we had a couple base running blunders, but also 2, we missed some opportunities to get some separation within the ball game. So we've taken the series now, and I was glad to kind of hear some of the chirping about, hey, taking 2 is not good enough. We got to finish this deal. And 10-8 sounds and feels so much better than 9-9, because we put ourselves in a situation now. We've discussed the bare minimum is 14 wins. And now you have 10, counting the Game 2 win on Sunday. But with our RPI, I'd feel a whole lot better at 15 or 16 wins. Just, the RPI will kind of take care of itself based on who we're playing, but we got to keep winning. But I don't think a 14-win Mississippi State's guaranteed anything. Just my take on it. You may see it differently. All right, so let's get through this other game here. And so top of 1, we start Brooks Auger. First start of his collegiate career, at least at Mississippi State. I think he started some at Hines. But top of 1, the first time through the order, he absolutely cruises. We get Weiss to pop up a short. Hall strikes out looking. That would have been helpful the inning before. I'm just going to throw it out there. McMurray then flies out to left. Bottom of 1, Larry flies out to center. Mershawn grounds out to shortstop. And then DJ, after an elongated at-bat, strikes out swinging. Great at-bat, just didn't get a great result. Top of 2nd, Ballou strikes out swinging. Irish grounds out to 2nd. Wright flies out to right field. So, again, Auger through 2 is facing minimum. Bottom of 2nd, State finally punches through here. Hines strikes out looking. Hyzak then grounds out to 3rd, and we challenge the call there, and the call stands. So we lose a challenge there. So now there's 2 outs. And then Chance singles down to third baseline, goes to second on a wild pitch, and then Kohler singles to the left side to drive in Chance. So a little two-out rally here. About the second half of the order. Pullman then reaches on a fielder's choice, and again, putting the ball in play. Right, they forced a runner at second, but a really good job just putting the ball in play. All right, top of third, we walk Freeman here, and then Guevara strikes out swinging, and then it's a fielder's choice here, and we're just not able to get two. And we get a ground out back to the pitcher for Weiss. Really nice defensive play there for Brooks. So Brooks gives us 3 solid innings. Things kind of changed a little bit in the fourth there. But bottom of third, Powell catching in place of Johnny Long in game 2. It's tough to catch both ends of a doubleheader. Powell strikes out looking, and then Larry grounds out the short. Mershon singles to the left side. And then for the first time this year, he is thrown out stealing. And it was a great throw and a great tag, and he was absolutely out. I hate it, but that's the reality of it. Our top of 4, and again, maybe it's because you're facing the order the second time through, but for some reason we kind of lost it. And we kind of lost the release point a little bit, and I thought that we got in the habit of kind of missing, and then the umpire kind of got on a roll with that. But Hall singles to the left side, and then we walked McMurray on 4 pitches. And then we walked Ballou on 5 pitches. So we bring in Cole Cheatham, now with the bases loaded in a 1-0 ball game, just needing to match up here with Ike Irish. We walk him. Well, now we bring in Cam Schuelke. And right here, you're just trying to kind of minimize the damage here. And it's a fielder's choice type deal, just kind of a crazy deal. But, they scored a second run because, Cheatham walks in the run, the tying run, and they score 1 here on the fielder's choice. And really a nice play here by Ethan Pulley, a very difficult throw. And Mershon, a great job to stay on the bag. So the double play kind of remains in order here. And then lo and behold, what do you know? We give up a stolen base. And right now you're thinking they're going to score multiple runs in this inning, and they do. Well, Freeman is then walked. And then Guevara, fielder's choice here. And we blow it. Had a chance to turn double play. Ground ball to Pulliam, and I don't know if he's just too close or whatever, but he drops it, and then the run scores. If we get that ball to Mershon, I don't know if we get the runner at first. At least we record it out there, and so we don't here. And we eventually get the double play, the 1-2-3 double play, which is one of the most beautiful things in baseball. That comebacker back to the mound, you go to the catcher, and he fires a strike to first. But that's one of the most significant parts of this ball game, is getting that 1-2-3 double play right there. Because if you don't turn that, you never know what happens the rest of the inning. So we give up 3 innings. And again, 4 walks in the inning is not winning baseball. Absolutely not. We played good defense behind them, but when we threw strikes. But when you give up 4 walks in an inning, you're going to give up runs. All right, bottom of the 4th. Again, Auburn now up 3-1. And you start thinking, we need to kind of get this thing going because we don't have 9 innings to play with. DJ strikes out swinging. Hines pops up to second, and then Hyzak rounds out to short. All right, top of 5. We're right back out there defensively. Quick inning for Auburn. Weiss grounds out to third. Hall then singles to center. Hall then swung a pretty good bat, to be honest with you. McMurray then reaches on the fielder's choice. Hall is out at second, and then Ballou grounds out to second to retire the side. And then not much going offensively here, and it kind of felt like we were going through the motions a bit here. Bottom of 5, Chance strikes out swinging. Kohler grounds out to second on the very first pitch. And then Pulliam works it for a full count and then flies out to right center. Top of 6, Irish tried to bunt. And I know they're just trying to get him going. But I don't like that at all. Wright then lines out to right. And then Freeman strikes out looking. So 1-2-3 inning there. They gift you an out. Bottom of 6, we ended up gifting them an out too. Irish is hurt on that play, too, at first, just so you guys know, and he came out of the ballgame, did not return. Powell flies out to left, hit it pretty well, and then Larry grounds out to the pitcher on a bunt here, and we only got 6 outs to work with, and they're all precious, and this was a gift. We just kind of gave them the out here, and you got to execute the bunt better than that. I'm okay with having him bunt, but you got to execute better than that. Mershon then walks, and Jordan gets the infield single, and then Hines flies out to right. So, again, this ball nearly left the yard. He got under it a little bit, but that thing kept fading and fading and fading, and the wind's blowing out to right. The guy catches it just before the wall and right. That'd have been incredible, right? Just a 3-run bomb there to take a 1-run lead. Then get 3 outs in the 7th, the ball game's over, right? Well, we bring in Tyson Harden, he who saved the earlier game, and he had one of his best performances in a Bulldog uniform in 2 years. So he gets Miller to strike out swinging, gets Hernandez strike out looking, and then Wise strikes out swinging. So 1, 2, 3, striking out the side there in the 7th, and think, okay, let's go walk this bad boy off. Well, we're down 2 runs, so we got to kind of mount a rally here. And again, Connor Hyzak kind of being the rally starter. He singles through the right side, and then Chance singles to left field, and now you've got the tying runs on base, and you start thinking to yourself, do I bunt here? Do I push these guys to second and third? And so Lemonis calls offensive timeout, goes out there and discusses it, and Kohler says, Coach, I want to hit. He said he had another adjective in there. He goes, I want to hit. Now, the smart baseball play, you'd say, would probably be to sacrifice these runners. But again, you're asking an awful lot of the freshmen. Super Bulldog weekend, a chance at a sweep. So you go and you bet on the senior. And Logan Kohler comes through and rips one into right center that goes all the way to the wall. Both runs score. Now it's 3-3. We decided to pinch run Aaron Downs here in place of Logan Kohler. And I get it. You're thinking a single probably scores a run. I don't know that you get enough juice for the squeeze here. Nothing against Aaron. I'm not being critical of Aaron. But it's a tie ball game. And so you start thinking, if we don't get the run home, we're going to have to play an extra inning. And so I'm sacrificing my defender at the hot corner. And so we kind of go all in here. And then, again, you're asking the freshman to get down a sack bunt. He's bunted before. But somebody blew it here. Aaron Downs gets too far off the bag. We don't get the bunt down. The pitch was up anyway, and we take it high. And they throw down and pick off the runner. And right here you're thinking, what in the world is going on? It's a terrible, terrible play. It is. Terrible. And as Coach said, nobody feels worse about that than Aaron Downs. The good thing is it didn't matter in the outcome. Pulliam then grounds out to second, and you start thinking, he'd be at third anyway. Powell flies out to right field. That's it. That's the end of the inning, but at least we're still playing baseball. And if you're in the Auburn dugout too, you're thinking, man, holy smokes. It's kind of how we felt over at Ole Miss. Like you get the lead and you just got to get out of there and you can't get on the bus with the victory. All right, top of 8. Hall flies out to left. McMurray strikes out swinging, and Ballou strikes out looking. It was just one of those things, too, like the way that Tyson Harden walked off the mound, just exuding confidence. You kind of felt like, you know what, this is fixing to happen. We're fixing to walk this thing off. That's just how it felt in the stadium. I don't know how it felt where you were. We got it done, but it took more at-bats than it probably should have. Larry doubles down the left field line. He really hit that ball well. And then he goes to third on a wild pitch. You're thinking, guys, come on. Well, they bring the infield in, and Mershon puts the ball in play, but it's right at the second baseman. So he looks the runner back. Then they walk DJ. And then Hines hits one just back to the pitcher. And you think if it's hit anywhere else, we're going to score the run. And Amani is kind of hung out to dry there because you're reading that as low trajectory. It's not just a going on contact deal. You read it off the bat, and if it's a ground ball, you're going. Just so happens it goes right back to the pitcher, and they get him hemmed up. And so now there's 2 outs in the inning. Again, we've had the winning run at third, and 2 at-bats can't get him home. And then Connor Hyzak comes up and rips one to left. And if memory serves me correct, it went off the glove of the third baseman and into left field. It's just kind of been that kind of year for Auburn. But State walks it off 4-3 and picks up 3 very valuable SEC wins. And every SEC win counts the same. The wins over Auburn count the same as the ones over Arkansas. At the end of the year, they don't add up a number of series you won. They add up a number of games you won. Every one of these games matter. And you can't just say, well, at least we won a series. No, we have to win every single game. That's always got to be our mindset. We can never just, hey, we took 2, we'll just kind of relax today. No. Your hitting heroes, Connor Hyzak, 2 for 4. Bryce Chance, 2 for 3. A couple runs scored for Bryce. Logan Kohler, 3 RBIs, 2 for 3 game for him. And so, again, that's when DJ and Hunter aren't carrying us, somebody else has to. And that was the case. 9 hits on the day and 6 different Bulldogs with hits. That's always good. It's always good. Pitching-wise, outstanding effort here. Carson Myers opened for them, former weekend starter for them. They're just kind of working his way back in. But, the last couple weekends, Butch is just trying to find some guys who can go out there and compete. And Will Cannon, of course, blows the save for them. He does not retire a hitter. He gets up 3 runs, 2 hits. State ties the ball game. Parker Carlson comes in, kind of puts out the fire for a little bit, but Christian Herber holds his saddle with the loss. Brooks Auger, no decision in the game, 3 innings pitched. All right, Bulldog fans, let's go ahead and admit it. Mississippi State folks and Boots are awful fond of one another. Our friends at Tecovas are back to get you ready for this festival and concert season. You know it's going to be all about boots, and Tecovas is your stop for festival style. Tecovas has seasonal and limited edition offerings this spring, including men's and women's boots, apparel, hats, bags, and so much more. All Tecovas boots are made by hand in a time-honored tradition with timeless styles that are always on trend. And Tecovas has first wear comfort with little to no break-in period. It's hard to find that level of comfort paired with this level of style. Plus, their direct-to-consumer pricing keeps value on your feet and money in your pocket. Stop by your local Tecovas store, have a complimentary drink or two, and shop new styles. The smell of fresh leather and a friendly staff are always at your service. Many stores even have leather custom branding to make your boots truly personalized. And with regular live music and events coming up, there's no in-store experience quite like theirs. If you can't make it into a store, just visit Tecovas, that's TECOVAS.com. They offer free shipping on all boots, as well as free returns and exchanges, and ship right to your door. Go to Tecovas.com today and find your new favorite pair of boots. 1 hit, 3 runs, and the 3 walks, of course, very, very costly. Cole Cheatham did not retire a hitter, did walk 1, and that ended up being the tying run, or walking that run in. Kim Schulke, 1.1 innings pitch, allows 1 hit, 1 walk. Nolan Stevens comes in, was absolutely filthy, 1.2 of an inning, 1 2/3 of an inning, and gets the 1 strikeout, but a ground ball machine when we absolutely had to have it. And Tyson Harden, again, born again hard, 3-0. Works 2 innings, and it's tough, man, to get out there and get all hot and go out there and save 1 game and come back and pitch another. Outstanding effort from him. 30 pitches for him, and State's 124. So State takes a series. We'll come right back, and we'll do a little more baseball stuff. We'll get into some football stuff, but before we do, let's thank our good friend Blair Chandler at closeatblair.com for sponsoring the top 10 list. And you know my feelings about this. You know, the top 10 list is always one of those deals, right, that we have some fun with. But Blair is a mortgage professional. He's always having fun. He's helping families have fun. He's helping families get home. Visit him at closeatblair.com. Phone number 601-500-2344. Doesn't go to a call center. Doesn't go to a receptionist. Goes directly to Blair at 601-500-2344. Blair's a mortgage professional with 23 years of experience. Now works for Priority One Mortgage. That same level of service has accompanied him over there. He's getting things done. So if you're looking for a game day condo, which may be something you've thought about and maybe never really pursued, maybe now is the time. Or maybe you're just starting out in life. Maybe you've got a transition to make in life and you got to find a new residence. Allow Blair to work with you and help you get pre-qualified. That is always the way to go. You want to see a motivated real estate agent, you get that pre-qualification letter, and they'll go absolutely good work for you, for sure. We got some great real estate agents around the state that are more than happy to help you find a new home. You know, there's a difference between having a house and having a home. So again, closeatblair.com, today's sponsor and always of the top 10 list. All right, so let's get into it. All right, here are the inductees into the 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class. You already know my feelings about some of this. Mary J. Blige, Jimmy Buffett, Cher, the Dave Matthews Band, Foreigner, Peter Frampton, Kool and the Gang, Alexis Corner, John Mayhall, MC5, Ozzy Osbourne, Susan DePasse, Big Mama Thornton, A Tribe Called Quest, Dionne Warwick, and Norman Whitfield. That's your class. So I don't like it. I'm just going to lay it out there for you. I've already made my my thoughts known about this, but there's a lot of rock bands that actually play rock music that are getting snubbed for this stuff. And listen, there are a few people that are very talented that made the list that didn't make my top 10 list, and I do want to speak about them And we'll start with Alexis Corner, who was actually from Paris, France, and known as the kind of the king of the British blues scene over there, and he gets in as an influence. I struggle with that so much. Okay, number one, I understand there's some bands that have come over and made an amazing impact in America, and a lot of bands were inspired by Corner, but this is a stretch. I mean, listen, his catalog is extensive. If you like that sort of thing, you can go find it. But he was apparently a big influence on the Rolling Stones, and I just think we're really, really, really scraping more at the bottom of the barrel to try to get some of these bands in and musicians. Susan DePasse did not get on my list because she wasn't a performer. She's recognized for her promotion, did a lot of work with Motown and things, and had a great, great career, basically as an executive. And so I guess you have to get some of those people in, and she's certainly deserving in that respect. But it's not rock music. Big Mama Thornton, and many of you have heard of this lady, and she was the original singer of Hound Dog that Elvis Presley made famous. A very, very big, boisterous voice. You can find YouTube videos out there of her. She's from Alabama. And about, it's one of those things, too. It's like if you pictured yourself going to, see somebody sing the spirituals, she would be that person. And a huge, huge voice and a huge on-stage persona. But it's not rock music. That's my take on that. For that matter, too, Jimmy Buffett makes my list because I feel like we have to include him. And then people say, that he should be in. I don't think so. It's not rock music. Jimmy Buffett's more country than he is rock. Shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Dionne Warwick, I mean, come on. What are we doing? What are we doing? Very talented, for sure, but not rock music. Norman Whitfield's probably a name you don't know. Norman Whitfield was a legend with Motown and didn't always get credit for the songs that he wrote. Get Ready from Smokey Robinson, that's one of his. Worked on I Heard It Through the Grapevine. A lot of big-name Motown songs are Norman Whitfield creations. Deserves to be in the American Music Hall of Fame, not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so my whole agenda here is that rock musicians should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's my take. I know some people are saying, but Steve, rock and roll is kind of an encompassing topic. I just disagree. Those are my feelings. And again, no disrespect to anybody that's included. But I got a little bit of a beef with one of the rock musicians that's included, too, over some other bands. All right, so here we go, number 10. I'm going Jimmy Buffett, and there's some irony in a song that I picked. It's Come Monday, because Jimmy says I wasn't made to sing rock and roll, So there you go. So I know there's a lot of parrot heads out there, a lot of friends that love Jimmy Buffett stuff, and I'm not denying his influence on American music. But it's not rock music. They started a Parrot Head Club here in town. I don't think it took off, but they started one. But Come Monday is my number 10 track. Number 9, Cher. Now, she dated a lot of rock musicians. And when I was a kid, they had the Sonny and Cher show. That variety show was great. And back when I used to spin records, we used to play a lot of Cher stuff. And then she had her big comeback in the late 80s. And a lot of it, too, was... I guess from the Witches of Eastwick. It's like all of a sudden Cher came really back into national prominence. And the next thing you know, she's recording music again, which was great. I really think that her second run as a musician was very successful. And we're going to pick a song from 87 called I Found Someone. If memory serves me correct, it was written by Diane Warren. I think that's correct. But I Found Someone from Cher, your number 9 track today. Number 8, one of my favorite R&B singers of all time. And again, it's not rock and roll, but if we're going to put R&B folks in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then this young lady deserves to be in there. It's Mary J. Blige, and she's legit too. She's not just some studio gangster. Mary J. Blige has been through some things. If you don't know her story, let me encourage you to find it. Mary J. Blige is somebody that has overcome a lot in life. And I absolutely love her voice. I love her delivery. And my favorite Mary J. Blige song is Family Affair. That's your number 8 track So again, if we're going to push R&B artists in there, I think Mary J. Blige is an absolute no doubter. But again, it's not rock and roll. Number 7, John Mayall. Now, John Mayall is one of these musicians, right? This is the guy that worked with Eric Clapton in the late 60s with John Mayall and the Blues Breakers. And again, I probably 20, 25 albums. I mean, it's ridiculous how much catalog there is. But I'm going to go back to the very beginning. We're going to go with A Hard Road. Now, the way I kind of reconcile this, even though, listen, the rock and roll is the blues. I mean, it truly is. And so when you go back and you think about, where the genesis of the American rock and roll sound came from, it came from the Delta blues in many respects. And John Mayall may not have been from the Delta, but John Mayall is a guy that obviously understood the blues, and in many respects is considered one of the greats in American blues music. But we're going to go with A Hard Road. Again, A Hard Road from the debut album, John Mayall. All right, number 6, a rap group that I dug for years and years and years. And again, it's not rock music, but if we're going to put rap artists in, this band should be in. It's a Tribe Called Quest. What the work that they did with sampling and kind of making more layered and complicated backing tracks for rap was revolutionary. Nobody was doing it at the level that those guys were. It's not even close. And a lot of people know, can I kick it? Well, yes, you can. But we're going to go with Check the Rhyme from A Tribe Called Quest, number 6 today. I dig those guys. I did way back when. And one of the things that I love about those guys, too, is A Tribe Called Quest is who they were, right? There's a lot of people out there following trends. No, not these guys. And I think that's why, again, if we're going to include rap acts in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, these guys absolutely get my vote because of the fact these guys were like real activists before activism became a big thing. A lot of people had a platform, and they just kind of said things to be agent provocateurs. These guys absolutely meant it. They are the genuine article, A Tribe Called Quest. All right, number 5. And this is where Roy kind of says, you know what, it's kind of one big album. I kind of agree with that. I don't think that Peter Frampton had the big catalog. And, of course, Frampton Comes Alive was kind of like one of those things that you just had to have, right? Everybody knew it. And I think in some respects, Peter Frampton, because of the experimentation type stuff that they did years ago, I think because some of those songs are iconic, like, Do You Feel Like I Do? You had the vocoder. It was like the first time anybody ever heard the guitar talk like that. And so even now you hear it, you're like, wow, it's pretty cool. But back then, it was almost like them seeing an alien. It was kind of like, and one of my favorite tweets that I've seen, I can't remember who did it, but I've laughed at so many times. It goes, don't you know the first guy that heard a parrot talk, it really kind of messed him up? That's kind of how this thing was, right? Is all of a sudden people are there and he's making this guitar just kind of squawk out actual language. And so I think in many respects, Frampton Comes Alive maybe kind of carried Peter Frampton into the Hall of Fame. And I know that his health is not good, and so maybe they want to do this before, he passes away here. But, he had a ton of albums, but really the thing that you remember is, Frampton Comes Alive. But that was, of course, after 4 great studio albums. And a lot of people were like, Steve, when I was in the 70s, everybody loved Peter Frampton. But I will venture to say to you that as great as Peter Frampton was, not a lot of his music has stood the test of time. It just hasn't. And I can't really explain why that is, but that's the reality of the situation. But I'm going to go with the song off Frampton, off the 75 album Frampton, is Show Me the Way. Because I want you to show me the way. I do dig that song, but I think Frampton, in many respects, is, I hate to say it this way, but I think in many respects it's kind of like, oh, we hadn't put Frampton in yet? Yeah, we probably need to get him in there to get everybody to be quiet. But he didn't have that many hits. He really didn't. I know that he was one of those innovators in music, but in many respects, it just, I hate to say it, but a lot of those bands from the 70s, they got by on image and the fact that there wasn't a lot of ability to get record deals. But rock radio was very Peter Frampton friendly. All right, number 4. I could make a case that this is a rock and roll band. Absolutely could. Because they played their own instruments. They wrote their own music. and they had a bit of an edge to them. And then some people tried to label them as a funk band, and I think that was a little bit, they weren't quite as Commodore-ish, as Lionel Richie and those guys were, and I love the Commodores. But Kool and the Gang, man, that was kind of the soundtrack of my youth in many respects. Before we all got into heavy metal, bands like Kool and the Gang just really kind of rocked the charts. And the Kool, and if you've listened to the show for a long time, you know that Kool is not the singer. James J.T. Taylor is the singer. Robert Kool Bell is the leader of Kool and the Gang. And J.T. kind of came and went. But their biggest hits were with J.T. Taylor. And I'm going to go with a very up-tempo song. I love the bass line on this one, but it's fresh. She's fresh. She's exciting. So inviting to me. I love it, man. Love it. Number 3, and the rest of the way, it's straight rock. And all 3 of these artists and performers deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call it. They deserve to be in there. And they're not going to change anything just because I say it. But number 3, one of the most influential bands and probably one of the most irreverent bands of their era. It's the MC5. And we've talked about them on the show many a time. MC5, one of those bands that just had an attitude that a lot of people weren't ready to take. And they were perfect for the 60s. And just about everybody who's anybody in rock music today owes a debt of gratitude to the MC5. And we're going to go with their, really, I guess, the song that made them famous is Kick Out the Jams. And one of the things about them, too, again, we talk about Tribe Called Quest. MC5 came up in the 60s. And so there was a very tumultuous time in the United States. And they were saying a lot of things that people felt just didn't have the venue to do it. And many people believed that MC5 was kind of the forerunners of punk rock in the United States, really around the world. You may remember Rage Against the Machine, covered, Kick Out the Jams. Maybe you remember that. They did. But again, this is one of those bands, too, that maybe you don't know as well, but you have heard their influence throughout your life. So Kick Out the Jams from MC5. They used to get arrested a lot, too. Number 2, a band that probably should have been first ballot Hall of Famers, but, we had to get in all these other people. It's so I could talk about my criticisms of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame all day, but it's Foreigner. Foreigner should have been in a long time ago. I'm glad they're doing this before Mick dies, and I hate to say it that way, but Mick Jones is not in good health and has not played considerable dates in some time. Of course, Kelly Hansen and Jeff Pilston, those guys are just kind of keeping things going, but it was Mick's band to begin with, and it is still his band, and some of the things that he did is absolutely ridiculous. Like, you go back and listen to the chord structure on Hot Blooded, it just kind of blows your mind, because nobody was doing that at the time. And I remember, it's so funny, a lot of people will ask him, were you on drugs when you wrote that? That's I don't know if that's the case, but I know that this is an absolutely great scenario, absolutely great scenario for Foreigner to go in and Mick to get his due. Excited about that, for sure. And so we're going to go with one of my favorite songs from Foreigner. It's Urgent. And part of the reason why is that great sax solo. It's a great, great use of the saxophone. I absolutely love it, man. Number 1, though. Now, he's already in as a member of Black Sabbath, but now Ozzy Osbourne is going in as a solo artist. And again, this probably should have happened like the day 1. Black Sabbath should have gone in day 1. And Ozzy probably should have gone in year 2 just so he could have his moment in the sun. But Ozzy, of course, not in great health either. But Ozzy, phenomenal. In the words of Ben Howland, phenomenal artist. The Prince of Darkness, a guy that everybody kind of notes is, the guy that was really kind of the front runner of heavy metal. And not just once, but twice. The work they did with Black Sabbath, and then, of course, he kind of modernized things and made it a little. It was still rebellious to kids enough that it bugged their parents, but he became quite the showman in the 80s. And my favorite Ozzy album, and this may come as a surprise to some of you, This is the ultimate sin. I think every track minus one. I think God Saved the Bomb is terrible. Or Thank God for the Bomb. Terrible. But Jake E. Lee, in his second album with Ozzy, and what's so interesting, even some of the rock fans that I know, they want to give credit to Randy Rhoads for playing Bark at the Moon. He did not. That was Jake E. Lee track that he brought with him to Ozzy. But off the Ultimate Sin album, a song that means an awful lot to me. And matter of fact, it's in my Twitter bio for this very reason. I absolutely love this song. I love Jake E. Lee. I love his melodic playing, but also, too, I love how we can kind of mix it up and just kind of jam it out a little bit. But there's something about this song that has always resonated with me, even when I was a teenager, and it still does today. But it's Killer of Giants. And I take that in many respects as a challenge. But a lot of things have happened in life, and you got to stand up or get run over. And it goes all the way back to what we were taught as kids. You know, it really does. You can't just go with the flow. I'm not built that way. I don't know, maybe you are, but I'm not. And so I will stand if I am the only one standing. That's kind of how I feel about it. But that's your number one track, Killer of Giants from Ozzy. I don't know that we've talked about that song a whole lot on this show, because usually when Ozzy pops up, we got to do Bark at the Moon or Crazy Train. But we're doing Killer of Giants today, which actually wasn't even a single. It's just, to me, it is the best song on the Ultimate Sin album. And I love the Ultimate Sin, too, and I love Lightning Strikes. I love all that stuff. And, of course, Shot in the Dark. But to me, Killer of Giants is just one of those songs that kind of stands alone. And it's so great, too. I heard an interview with Jake E. Lee years ago, and they asked, I think it was on that metal show, when you look back at the Ozzy era, what makes you most proud? And he goes, Killer of Giants. And I thought, man, absolutely right. Absolutely right. He absolutely killed it. So there you go. If you have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out and let us know. We have many of you that do, and I thank you for that. Best way to keep up with us is to follow Roy's Twitter account, and you can send him your suggestions. And his Twitter handle is at Dogmatic67, DAWGMATIC 67. You can find our great list on Spotify on the same handle. I'm on all forms of social media at Scout Steve R. If you're not following me on Twitter, what are you doing with your life? But again, we appreciate all of Roy's contributions to the show, these many years. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. If you haven't been by to visit lately, you owe it to yourself next time you come to town. I know they were busy this weekend, and thank you guys for going and supporting the great Campus Bookmart. They do such a great job outfitting us. The latest in Mississippi State fashions are always there. The gifts you need, whether it be for a housewarming or Christmas or a birthday or just to say I love you and I care about you, or maybe you're graduating. I'm pushing those diploma frames because you don't think about that until somebody graduates. What a nice gift that would be from grandparents or the favorite aunt or uncle to your Mississippi State graduate. Go ahead and have that ready. You know what I'm saying? What a great gift, and it's something that'll stay with them. It's not like it's giving them a few bucks. That diploma frame from Campus Bookmart will be something that they will cherish now and forever. So maybe consider that. But as always, when you come to town, go and see their smiling faces. If you can't make it to town, visit them at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays. It's BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than $75, absolutely incomplete. All right. I want to spend some time talking about the spring game, but let's real quickly take our look at the SEC baseball standings and kind of how things worked out. Let's do the results first. So A&M goes to Alabama and takes 2 of 3. Florida goes to Vanderbilt and takes 1. Vanderbilt wins that series. Of course, some controversy, about a pitcher being ejected due to an illegal substance. Some people try to suggest it was sunscreen. If it was sunscreen, he wouldn't have been ejected. Ole Miss goes to Georgia. They get 1. Charlie Condon with a big weekend against Ole Miss pitching. Tennessee goes to Kentucky and takes 2 of 3. They take the series from the Wildcats. And Nick and the Wildcats have had some success against Tennessee. I know they wanted to win that series, but big one for Tony Vitello in Tennessee. Of course, Auburn comes to Mississippi State. They were the lone team in the conference that got swept this weekend. Arkansas goes to South Carolina, takes 2 out of 3. I'm not sold on South Carolina. I'd love to play them at Hoover. LSU goes to Missouri and gets 2 out of 3. So how does that impact our standing, Steve? Well, I'm so glad you asked. So in the East, Kentucky still leads the SEC East by 3 games with 12 to play. They also lead overall by a game over Arkansas. Kentucky now 15-3 in the league. Tennessee 12-6. And then Vanderbilt 10-8. Georgia 9-9, South Carolina 9-9. And listen, we need Georgia to get hot, right? Because we own 2 wins over them. We need Georgia to help bring our RPI down, which is now in the 40s. And so we got a chance to pull in the 30s. And I think even in the 40s we're okay. But you can't. You might want to consider dropping a non-week game, maybe taking a North Alabama game off schedule. I'm just saying. Florida 8-10 now, and 20-19 overall. Brutal, man. Missouri 6-12 and 18-23. But give Missouri some credit on Kerrick Jackson. They've been a much better team than people expected them to be, just as Florida. All right, in the West, Arkansas 14-4 leads by 1 game over Texas A&M. How interesting is that, right? And then there's your Bulldogs at 10-8. So we're 3rd in the West and tied for 5th overall in the Southeastern Conference. Do I expect some upward mobility? I really don't, but I just want to maintain. Bulldogs are now 12 games over 500. Alabama 7-11. They're 25-15. Of course, Alabama comes to Noble Field next weekend. We'll be in Nashville this weekend. Ole Miss now 6-12 in the league and 21-18 overall. LSU 5-13, and then there's Auburn 2-16, and they're 19-20. So they and Missouri both have losing records. However, if the SEC tournament started today, LSU and Auburn would be the 2 teams that were excluded. Missouri would be in, along with Ole Miss. Missouri and Ole Miss tied right there, but both of them would get in, right? And so that's where things stand right now. Now, real quickly, Mississippi State's batting average now 286, still kind of right there, top half of the league, right there in the middle of the pack. Pitching ERA, State now up to 4th, tied with Kentucky at 4.16. Arkansas still leading the league at a 2.95, and A&M 3.57. And again, they've proven to be a better team than I expected. Mississippi State and Florida tied at 2nd in fielding percentage at 9.81, just 1/100th behind Arkansas was 9.82. So, of course, your Bulldogs one of the best defensive teams in the country. That's a big change from what it was a year ago, right? No doubt about it. Look at the hits number. Charlie Condon still leads, 73 hits. Caglione, big stretch here for him. Runs batted in. Braden Montgomery still kind of hanging on there. Condon is 11 behind him. It's going to be tough to catch Braden Montgomery. It really is. It really is. Looking at home runs, Condon, though, 6 ahead of Jack Caglione. Caglione's made it a little bit interesting. And Braden Montgomery right there, too, at 12. Could you imagine? I don't want to say it again, but how good we'd be if we had Braden Montgomery. It's the truth. Dave Mershon now tied for 4th, or I guess technically 3rd in the SEC in stolen bases. Cooper Weiss entered the weekend 25 of 29. He left 25 of 29. Did not get the opportunity to steal base. Bulldogs do a great job keeping him off base. But that's where things look in the SEC right now. And we'll take a quick look at the schedule that is to come. I know you guys, we'll be in Memphis tomorrow. And I'm not going to preview the Memphis game because we've already done that this year. And they're not really any different. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful or anything, but, they got up on us early and we came back and destroyed those guys late. Really struggled early on pitching-wise, and we're able to get it done. But looking at Tuesday's schedule, it's interesting. Ole Miss is scheduled to play at like noon tomorrow against North Alabama. I don't know what that's about. I really don't. Florida A&M is going to play Auburn tomorrow afternoon, and then Western Carolina will visit Tennessee. Stetson is at Florida. Samford is at Alabama. Missouri State is at Missouri. UT Martin is at Vanderbilt. Houston is at Texas. And, of course, Mississippi State's at Memphis. Clemson is at Georgia. That'll be awfully interesting. And the Tigers playing pretty well, 32-7 overall and 13-5 in the ACC. And so It won't be a bit of a surprise if that ends up being a barn burner of a game. Arkansas is going to play Arkansas Pine Bluff, or at least they're scheduled to. Nicholls State will visit LSU. And then I guess those are going to be interesting games because of the fact I wonder how many of these games actually get played. I'm just curious. And we'll look ahead at the weekend on Wednesday as there are always some series that are starting early. But that's where it stands right now college baseball-wise. So I want to spend the balance of the show talking about the spring game. So let's thank our friends at the Stark Vegas Clubhouse who will be hosting some pretty special events here soon from some very notable Mississippi State alums. How cool is that? If you are looking for a great place to host a big group, whether it be your family, whether it be your college friends, whether it be, a chance for the girls to get together and just be moms for a while, or maybe not be moms for a while, but just kind of be your old self for a while. Let dad keep the kids for a little bit. Just, maybe have a girls' weekend or a guys' weekend, whatever you guys want, a couples' weekend. Look no further than the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Be sure and check them out today. You can just Google them and their Facebook page where it's kind of auto-populate. And you can just kind of go through and look through the pictures that are available there on their Facebook group. And also, so many great items there for you to just kind of chill, right? They got the big fire pit area outside. I love that big back porch area. A lot of people have a porch, but they got one you can really kind of stretch your feet out on. It's great. You got the full-service kitchen and also the wet bar there. So whatever you're looking to do entertainment-wise, they can accommodate you with that. It's a house, right? It's not, it's not a bingo hall, right? It's not the VFW, where you can go lease it out and have a concert or anything. It's a place for you to just kind of rest and recreate with the people you love the most. And maybe you're bringing a work group to town. We've had some people do that too. So you can be able to book at the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. There's 3 options, right? You can go through VRBO. You can go through Airbnb. But if you go to the Evolve website, I can save you 10%. That's promo code BSR10. BSR10 through the Evolve website. Be sure and check that out today. You'll be glad you did, the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Now, spring game's behind us. The first thing we talked about is we wanted to get out of there healthy. It appears we did. Didn't appear to be any serious injuries. Always some bumps and bruises this time of year. We had some guys not playing the game, and that's the kind of a precaution. But we also said we wanted to see some shots. We got those. We also said we wanted to see how it looks, make it look like we know what we're doing. Is they're trying to speak like I know what I'm doing. But that was a big part of it. I thought it was a very well-organized and a well-run scrimmage. And, of course, it was some interesting scoring to kind of make it competitive. That's a big part of it. It's just kind of make things interesting. And I thought, for those of you that didn't get a chance to come, you missed a really cool day at Davis Wade Stadium. And I know it's not always easy. I get that aspect of it. But I thought it was really, really good for us to kind of get everybody out there and then get a chance to kind of see what they've been working on. That's always a part of it, right? It's like you guys show up and you're like, hey, I'm not just here to go buy a T-shirt. I want to see what our football team looks like as we get ready to come out of here and kind of see what to expect as we get into summer workouts. Let's take a look back at some of these numbers. And, of course, these are all unofficial, okay? But Blake Shapen, 18 of 22. And if you saw that first half, you were probably blown away. Not just by the fact that this guy could throw a dime for you out there, but his mobility. How many times did you see things kind of break down a little bit and he's able to evade the pressure and get outside and extend plays? Very, very, very impressed what we saw from Blake Shapen. I thought Chris Parson did a good job too. If Chris is going to be like, okay, big boy, you can have the job. Chris, 7 of 13, 124 yards, a couple of touchdowns himself. Mike Van Buren got out there just 3 or 4. And granted, he's behind Parson as he's expected to be. He's a freshman. Maybe a different scenario a year from now. But, yeah, Michael Van Buren, of course, a December graduate, was able to enroll in January and go through spring practice. And so, yeah, pretty big. But Blake was a dude. Now, Chris obviously is a guy that's going to compete, but I saw really good things from both of them. Both of them completing passes for 60-plus yards in the ballgame. We got a little bit farther down in the depth chart, too. Let some other guys get out there and play a little bit, too. But from a rushing standpoint, Johnny Daniels, Missed some time this spring. We were a little bit concerned at one point, that it might be a more serious thing. Turns out that it wasn't. They just kind of held him out as a precaution, let him heal. There's no point in toughing it out in the spring. Johnny Daniels, of course, a newcomer that arrives from Colin. Guys, he has six carries for 64 yards in the ballgame, averaging 10.7. And there's some explosiveness with him. There is. Jeffrey Pittman had a good game, 10 carries, 61 yards. Did lose 3, so 58 net there. Javaris Bufford, 8 for 53. Probably a name you're not quite as familiar with, but it's good to see those guys get out there and make some plays too. Kevon Lee, also 7 carries, also had a touchdown. Mario Craver led the team with 6 targets, but had 5 receptions for 96 yards, and, of course, the one big 65-yarder. That kid is very fleet of foot. He's a little thinly framed, so we worry a little bit about his weight. He needs to bulk up a little bit. And the good thing is we have a bunch of guys that can play. But Craver gives you a different element. This is a guy, obviously, you get him in space, it's going to be tough to win a foot race against him. Also a December graduate enrolled in January, right out of high school. One of the hits in the Under Armour game. Kelly Akari, absolutely outstanding. 5 receptions for 86 yards. He was targeted 5 times. He caught all 5. I thought the best catch he made was a ball that was behind him, and he kind of tips it forward to himself. Also has a touchdown. Get out there and dance a little bit for us. It's always nice to see. Seydou Traore, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 33 yards, 22 yards after contact. And this guy is an NFL guy. This guy has that type of potential. He transferred in, of course, from Colorado, had to sit out last year. They ought to give him a fruit basket or something now that the rules have changed. Jordan Mosley targeted 5 times, had 3 catches for 65. Braylon Burnside, stonk. How about that? 4 targets, 3 catches for 41 yards. Kevin Coleman, 3 for 41. Justin Ball, a couple of grabs, 1 a touchdown. Jeffrey Pittman also had a couple of catches. But, really good day for the offense, kind of spreading the ball around. I'd like to see J.J. Harrell a little more involved, but, he missed some time this spring, and I think he'll be full go in the fall. But, you see Craver and Burnside out there doing some good things, and J.J. Harrell can as well. Defensively, Elijah Cannon, a newcomer, a guy that Corey Bell brought with him, a guy that wasn't even really on our radar, leads us in tackles with 7 tackles. Elijah Cannon, of course, from down around South Florida, was committed to FAU with Corey Bell, and Bell's like, hey, I'm going to Mississippi State. You want to go play in the SEC? And there we go. Stone Blanton, I wasn't sure he was going to play. He's been a little bit limited at times this year. He gets out there and plays, has 5 tackles. Nick Mitchell, a guy that hadn't done a whole lot for State since he's been here. He's been primarily a special teams player. He has 5 tackles. Tobias Hent with 6. Cyrus Reyes, another freshman, with 5. Jordan Morant, former Michigan transfer, hadn't done a whole lot here. Good game for him at 5 tackles. Joseph Head Jr., a guy that we need to kind of take a step forward this year with 5. John Lewis with 4. He's going to be playing more of that stand-up linebacker spot. We expect him to start. JaVale Gilmore, a guy that, of course, came in here a couple years ago from Amite, Louisiana. Another guy we're expecting big things from. Hasn't really materialized yet. But, Tyler Woodard, safety, comes in from East Mississippi with 4. Browlin Lanier, Alabama by way of East Mississippi, also with 4. Brandon Jennings, I thought, did some really good things too. And he certainly looks the part out there. Really excited about him to be a part of this program too. But you can work on through this, and you can see there's a lot of people that got some playing time and able to kind of get in the box score. But I think it's one of these deals where you look at it and it's like, okay, let's forget all the big picture stuff. And just for this day, for Saturday, it was an entertaining day, and it got me excited about football. And I was on the Bo Bounds show this morning. That was one of the things that he mentioned is even some of the most negative people that we know were like, dude, this was fun. And it wasn't just this weird scoring system. It's the fact that football was fun. The air raid was here, and we didn't take a lot of shots down the field. We're designing up matchups to get our receivers in one-on-one matchups, and we're going to let them go make a play for us. And it is apparent that Jeff Lebby knows how to do that. And I think Saturday kind of proved that. I thought defensively, I felt more encouraged about the defense than I expected to be. I really thought the offense would just kind of come out there and have their way with them. But the defense did make some plays, and which gives me some pause, I guess, a little bit offensive line. These guys got to gel. It's so hard in just 15 practices to get all these guys together and have everybody moving as one cohesive unit. But there were some offensive line breakdowns, and DeMonte Russell did some couple good things too. But I share those things with you because I think it's important. Number one, you can't learn much from a spring game. I mean, you truly can't. You don't go scout a spring game and say, hey, these are the concepts we're going to run. But as far as like interjecting some enthusiasm and some exuberance into the program, into the fan base, I think we have done that. I think that was very successful. And I think a lot of people kind of walked away thinking, you know what? I think it's okay to kind of have some excitement about football. Because we have been through so much as a fan base and as a program in the last couple of years. We're our third coach in 2 years. And I guess you can throw Greg Knox in the mix too. And of course, Knox is still here, working off the field as part of the dog program. But when you begin to kind of put these things together, we have needed something to feel good about for a long time. And, a lot of our fans, they don't kind of keep up with recruiting until it becomes National Signing Day. And then it's like, well, hey, how did we do? They don't really know. They just want you to tell them, hey, we got some good players. We're going to be okay. We're excited about this guy and that guy. We got this big quarterback, Michael Van Buren. We're really excited about him, right? But by and large, you just want to say, you know what, Steve, I just want to feel good about football. I want to say, you know what, it's worth my time and effort to renew my season tickets and pack the car and bring all my family up there and say, hey, we're going to go enjoy Bulldog football. It's worth my time and effort to get to keep packing the tailgate because I've got some good Saturdays ahead of us. Now, do I expect this team to contend for an SEC championship? No, not this year. Do I expect this team to be a winning team? Absolutely. Do I expect this team to be fun to watch? You better believe it. I think Jeff Lebby, in the short time that he has been here, has been exactly what these young people have needed. They've had to deal with some stuff that even adults haven't had to deal with. Now, Mike Leach was all our coach, right? He was. But the reality of it is they had a personal relationship with him. And so they had to go through that. And then all of a sudden you're just kind of clinging to anything like a life preserver, just trying to make it. And it's like, okay, we're going to keep Arnett. Oh, great. That means my position coach gets to stay. Well, then later on you find out the total offense has been renovated, And then you go through the season. Okay, the season's finally here. And then you go out there and you're part of the team that breaks the bowl streak. And so we needed a new energy. And I think we have it with Jeff Lebby. I think that Jeff has gone out and brought some people around him that will help him execute his vision here at Mississippi State. I think it's a very, very significant undertaking. But you guys got a bit of a progress report on Saturday, and I would think anybody that observed that, whether it be on TV or in person, I think you'd have to give them an A right now. Because I don't know what your expectations were. I mean, mine were fairly modest. I mean, I knew we'd probably take some shots and things like that, but I came away. I didn't get to watch the full game. I had to come back and watch some of that later, but I share that with you because I think it's important to kind of understand that I think we're where we need to be. I think we're moving in the right direction. And I like the fact, too, that we said, hey, we probably need to go get an lineman in the portal, too, if we could find a good one. That tells me that we've paid special attention, to our spring practices and are continuing to evaluate players. So, you know what, this is kind of where we are. This is what we need. We need to address that. And as you guys know, we've picked up a couple transfer portal commitments and got a little more to go, and that'll play out into next month. Of course, they don't have to enroll until June, but the sooner they get here, the better. And they did a great job with this last portal cycle. Many of those guys were already here before they had even enrolled for classes. Went ahead and found housing, moved on up here and get settled, and went around town, had some Bulldog Burger Company. Family went by Campus Bookmart, bought some Bulldog shirts, But, yeah, I'm excited. I am. I have modest expectations for the season. But I think this offense can be electric. I really do. And I think when you can score, you're always in games. And you don't even need to be elite defensively. If you can just be average defensively, you can win a lot of football games. And I'm not going to sit here and expect that we're going to go to the Rose Bowl or anything like that. But you go 7-5 this year, Jeff Lebby may be the coach of the year. But I think there's some people that really don't want to see us coming with the ability that we're going to have to stretch the field and really make people make plays in space. It's going to be interesting. But now we get into the spring evaluation period. Yeah, it's a big part of the recruiting piece. They're going to spend a lot of time going out and seeing high school players in person. And, right now there's this huge funnel, right? Like right now everybody feels like a prospect. And you watch some film and you begin to kind of whittle everything down. It's like, well, hey, I want to go see this kid in person. And you show up and he's not as big or, doesn't look as good out of the uniform as you expected. Well, then you kind of move on to the next guy. And so the funnel begins to narrow. So we're in that process now where, the funnel has gone from, being, a mile wide to now it's probably down to maybe 10 yards. You're just kind of now starting sifting through here and figuring out who's legit and who's not. And goodness, man, in 6 weeks, we'll be covering football camps, prospect camps. We'll have a lot of people here on campus. We'll be picking up some commitments, extending some new offers. So there's going to be plenty of football content over at genespage.com because we're going to continue to kind of keep up with recruits. As you guys know, we had a big one today. Tyshawn Willis commits today, a 4-star. Had some notes about him last week. We knew it was close. And then I had somebody very close to him Saturday right before the spring game tell me he's coming to Mississippi State. It's coming soon. I don't know how soon. Well, it took us 2 days. 2 days to get that finished up. But, that's a commitment we've been expecting for some time. 4-star as rated by 247 Sports. And recently picked up an offer from Missouri. He holds a half dozen or so offers, including State, Ole Miss, and Missouri. So multiple SEC schools after him. But he plays edge, but we're going to have him play linebacker for us on the next level. But we'll get more into that a little bit later in the week. And, of course, with baseball going on, again, I will be in Memphis Tuesday night and then in Nashville this weekend. So we'll have on-site coverage for you over at genespage.com of your baseball games this week. And the crew back home will be keeping up with everything else. But we'll be on schedule Wednesday and Friday. And we'll probably do the Friday show early because I got to get on the road to Nashville. I love Nashville. I got to get up there and get settled in and go cover a couple ball games for you guys too. So until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies and people can see a difference in the way we live.